Hi Scorpio, this is Tisch Aitken, and this is your monthly report for the month of May 2022. We begin the month in eclipse season, which means a lot of revelations. Eclipses are like wild cards. You know that a lot is happening in a very short period of time, but it can be very frenetic and chaotic, and it can raise your anxiety, and it brings major change and flux in a very short period of time. The eclipses are in your sign axis of Taurus and Scorpio, which makes it even more intense for you, but everybody's feeling it collectively. On April 29th, Pluto, which is the ruler of your sign, the planet of death and regeneration, retrograded at 28 degrees and 36 minutes of the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn in your house of news, information, and communication. And you may have gotten some really big news. Pluto can bring major departures and major change, sometimes major beginnings as well, but there is a release in that process, and particularly during the station, lots of turning points. And then there was a partial solar eclipse on April 30th at 10 degrees and 28 minutes of the fixed earth sign of Taurus in your house of relationships and partnerships. And that's a huge focus for you, where you're really meant to grow, because that was a north node eclipse. But again, eclipses can eclipse people and situations into our lives and out of our lives. And it also can just make it very, just kind of just wacky and disruptive in a sense, but a lot of focus for you on relationships right now in your life. And this set off for Uranus, which is the planet, it's the great awakener. It's the planet of surprise and innovation, but also chaos and disruption. Uranus has been transiting at approximately this point the last year and a half. So this eclipse was conjunct Uranus, bringing more of a chaotic and definitely illuminating tone, because Uranus raises your consciousness and gives you information as well. So that can be, really bringing it up many notches. And so we begin the month, and also there are 5 points transiting in the mutable water sign of Pisces in your house of love, romance, and joy. More focus on you, relationships too. And there was the historical Jupiter-Neptune conjunction that occurred on April 12th at 23 degrees of the mutable water sign of Pisces in your house of love and creativity, really tapping into that energy and magnetizing good fortune and opening your heart. So on May 2nd, Venus, which is the planet of love, money, and what you value, changes signs and enters the Cardinal Fire sign of Aries at 12:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where it will transit until May 28th in your house of work and routine and health and daily habits. And this brings more creativity to your work and to your daily routine, and bringing more love to these daily habits. And then on May 3rd, Jupiter, which is the luckiest planet, forms a facilitating aspect to Pluto, the planet of transformation. For you, this can be very good for writing projects, for pitching ideas and partnering with others in some way creatively, and networking too. It's a very empowering and lucky aspect. On May 4th, Mars, the planet of action and passion, forms a facilitating aspect to Uranus at 11:47 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that could bring unexpected partnering opportunities professionally, and brainstorming, also very creative energy. On May 5th, there's more of an unpredictable tone to the day. The sun meets up with Uranus at 3:22 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in your house of relationships and partnerships. There could be unexpected invitations. There could be changes in plans. There might be new plans that come in. Go with the flow. There will be definitely twists and turns. Could also be brilliant energy with partnering with others. On May 7th, no, pardon, on May 6th, Mercury forms a positive aspect to Venus. And this is a very creative energy, good for working with others, and also good for financial opportunities for you, and romantic as well. On May 7th, the Sun forms what's known as a sextile to Mars, and that's a very positive energy. It's very passionate and confident and invigorating, and that occurs at 5:48 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Good, helpful energy to get things done. And then on May 10th, Mercury retrogrades at 4 degrees and 50 minutes of the mutable air sign of Gemini in your house of intimacy, money, debt, and taxes. And Mercury initially retrogrades in Gemini, so you're reassessing your finances, your healing, perhaps loss. We've all experienced loss in the last 2 years at this point in some way. Reassessing how you can empower yourself. It will return to Taurus on May 22nd, and it stations direct on June 3rd at 25 degrees of Taurus. This is reconsidering your relationships. People from the past could definitely resurface. Maybe you hear from an old lover or an old flame of some sort. Maybe you hear from an old coworker or an old partner. But this is a time of reassessing the past, and that's where that eclipse also lit up the energy on April 30th. And let's see. On May 10th, the other big news is that Jupiter, which is the luckiest planet, enters the Cardinal Fire sign of Aries at 7:22 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It will transit there until October 28th in your house of work, health, habits, and routine. If you've been stagnant in your career, this will definitely expand your workload and bring a lot of work. You will be very busy. If you're trying to get into an exercise routine, or you're trying to eat better, or getting into a health and wellness program with meditation and doing healing of some form, this brings a lot of expansion in the area of health and work for you. It's actually a good energy. Jupiter does love being in Pisces and rules Pisces, but it expands in Aries through being courageous and passionate and charging ahead and going for it. On May 15th, that's a huge day for everybody, but definitely for you. It's the day of the total lunar eclipse in Scorpio. We begin the day at an 8:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Venus meets up with Chiron, the wounded healer, at 8:13 a.m., and that's in your house of work and health and daily routines, trying to bring some healing in your health and wellness and in taking care of yourself. The Sun squares Saturn in the Sun in Taurus squares Saturn at 2:49 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That can feel restrictive. That can feel that there are blocks in this. But then the Sun also forms a very positive aspect to Neptune, the planet of dreams, at 3:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, bringing creative solutions and love in the process of dealing with all that's coming up. And then the lunar eclipse occurs at 11:14 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and on May 16th at 12:14 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 25 degrees and 18 minutes of the fixed water sign of Scorpio in your house of self and immediate environment. This could bring major endings in your life because it is a full moon on steroids. In this case, the sun, moon, and the earth are perfectly aligned, and the earth comes between the sun and the moon and cuts off the moon completely, and it brings things to light. And it's really about processing things emotionally. The moon in Scorpio is in its fall position because it's exalted in the opposite sign of Taurus. So there's definitely a heaviness, and the sun squaring Saturn that day, not easy, but purging and eliminating what's keeping you from obtaining the magic that all of that Pisces energy wants you to manifest and magnetize in your heart and in your happiness. But this is definitely an intense eclipse and a total lunar eclipse. So just know that you'll be feeling a lot of emotions the middle of May, and you should feel them to process. And all the planets in Pisces, there's so much water in end of April, early May, and it's encouraging everyone to feel in order to heal, because this is such a difficult time. On May 18th, Mars meets up with Neptune at 2:33 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in your house of creativity. You may feel drained, but this could be good for doing spiritual practice of some form or just getting rest. On May 19th, the Sun forms a positive angle to Pluto, the planet of empowerment, at 8:11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Good for shining, good for partnering with others, and good for feeling positive. On May 19th, Mercury also forms a very good aspect to Jupiter, and that occurs at 9:33 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Good for communication and feeling optimistic. On May 20th, the Sun enters the mutable air sign of Gemini, where it will be until June 21st. In your house of intimacy, money, and debt, bringing more levity and light to dealing and tackling those issues. And then on May 22nd, Mars and Pluto, which are both the rulers of your sign, form a harmonious aspect at 6:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that's really good for feeling that you can get anything achieved, and also through your thoughts, feeling empowered that you can get things done and get a lot of hard work done. And on May 23rd, the Sun forms a helpful aspect to Jupiter, the luckiest planet, at 3:54 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that's a good energy for feeling optimistic and feeling positive and exuberant. And then Mercury and Mars form a harmonious aspect on that date at 11:27 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, good for doing research and getting work done. On May 24th, Venus forms a positive aspect to Saturn, the planet of commitment and structure, at 7 o'clock a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Good for work projects, good for dealing with family situations or with home situations for you. And then later that day, Mars, the ancient ruler of your sign, the planet of action and passion, enters the Cardinal Fire sign of Aries at 7:17 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where it will be until July 5th, transiting in your house of work and daily routine. And this is good for really getting things done, good for going, if you really want to get into an exercise program, that's awesome, and really good for doing all sorts of work projects. And let's see, on May 25th, Mercury, the planet of communication, forms a positive aspect to Pluto at 5:49 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, good for communication and good for feeling empowered and how you present yourself. And then on May 27th, there's much more of an intensity. Venus, the planet of love, squares Pluto, the planet of death, domination, and rebirth at 2:29 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could bring issues at work for you or with clients. I would lay low, or with coworkers, potentially lay low with that. On May 28th, Venus, the planet of love and money, changes signs and enters the fixed Earth sign of Taurus at 10:46 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And it'll be there until June 22nd, transiting in your house of relationships and partnerships. Excellent if you're single, for meeting people. Excellent for partnering with others in all different ways and having some fun. On May 29th, Mars and Jupiter meet up at 6:31 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's an aspect of good fortune, and that's in your house of work. So that could bring some really positive opportunities. And On May 30th, there is a new moon that takes place at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 9 degrees and 3 minutes of the mutable air sign of Gemini in your house of healing and empowerment and debt. And that is a time always to plant new seeds, set intentions, and do the law of abundance to bring new financial opportunities and to bring healing. I wish you a lot of luck, Scorpio. You got a lot of focus on relationships and a lot of focus on you, how you can grow through releasing things that are hindering you. Take care and thank you.